Yeah. So 91. We are studying now. Right. We're studying now Maran. Maran is on the top of 91. Let's see what Maran says, and then we'll go back into Rabbi David Yosef.
Very interesting.
Elu devarim. These are the things, tzrichim netila b'mayim, which you, after you do them, you must wash your hands with water. What do you mean with water, as opposed to?
Juice or other liquids.
Well, yeah, it could be, but more practical.
Snow.
Opposed to wiping your hands on a cloth or on a blanket, like we said you could do by otherwise. These are the things that you have to wash your hands with water. Hakam mehamita, one who gets up from bed. We're going to explain what all these mean, the details. V'hayotze mibet hakiseh, one who leaves the bathroom. Umibet hamerchatz, someone who comes out of a shower room. Sometimes the bathroom and the shower are not in the same room.
Right.
V'hanotel tziponav, and one who cuts his nails. Notel means to take off literally, but to cut tziponav, his nails. V'hacholetz, and he who takes off min alav, his shoes.
Leather shoes.
We're going to see. V'hanogea beraglav, and one who touches his feet.
Feet, not legs.
The word regel in Hebrew can mean either leg or feet. We're going to have to see what exactly he's talking about. It's a good question. V'hachofef rosho, and somebody who rubs his head, scratches his head. Not like touches his hair, but like, gets in there. He's itching his head. Yeah. V'yesh omrim, and some say, Af haolech ben hametim, even one who walks amongst the dead.
Something like cemetery.
So the question here is going to be, is it a cemetery, is it a funeral? Like, what does it mean, ben hametim? Umi shenaga bamet, and somebody who touches a dead body. So, I want to give you an accurate translation, but
I've been drinking from the bottle. okay, it seems to be Umisham Falek Kelav. Somebody who's like trying to clean his, I don't want to clean his utensils or his clothing from lice.
We're going to get back to this exact translation because I don't want to.
What's the word for lies in Hebrew?
Kinim, but this is not.
Yeah. That's right. It was one of the plagues.
Right, we're going to see that in a second. V'ameshamesh mitato, and somebody who has sexual relations. V'nogea bekina, and somebody who touches lice. V'hanogea begufo biyado, and somebody who touches his body with his hands. Probably his body that is covered, normally covered. It says, Maranu misha asa echad mikol elu. Somebody who does one of these Yonatan and he does not wash his hands. Im Talmid Chacham hu, if he's a Talmid Chacham, if he's a Torah scholar, Talmudo mishtakech. God forbid he forgets what he learned. Meaning, he'll forget the Torah that he learned. V'im eino Talmid Chacham, and if he's not a Talmid Chacham, Yotze midato, he will become insane. He will lose his mind. It says.
A lot of crazy people out there. Question: this thing of not eating a man not eating the end piece of the bread because he loses Torah learning, where'd that idea come from? The healing of the
I've
bread.
never heard of it.
Heard it. Several Hasidic groups.
Not to eat the end of the bread?
No, the part that's cooked on the outside. When
Yeah.
you cut the bread, you shouldn't eat. For motzi, you shouldn't eat the outside that has the rind on it. It's okay for
Is it my
women
favorite?
to eat, but not for men.
Behind that couch,
It says
the small couch to the right,
will forget his learning.
there's a bunch of books on one of those two bottom shelves. There's a purple paperback book. It's like a dark purple with white writing, maybe. No, it's one book. It's only one volume. Soft cover, not hard cover. No, not that one. It's bigger than that. It's like a thick, big book. It could look blue even. Could be it's not there. Should I come look?
Oh, there's alchemy.
It could be that I didn't put it back in there.
He was an alchemist. See this? This is a chemical vessel.
Smoking. Whose book is this?
Rabbi bought it in New York. It's of a Moroccan Kabbalist.
It's a few hundred years old.
Yeah, it's quite amazing.
1 second.
This is the gentleman. Rav Mechaber Machluf Amshalom. My brother-in-law is Machluf also. It's an Arabic name that's only used for Jews. Machluf.
Yeah, one of the Baba Sali's brother or uncle.
I got a book from the Baba Sali. I have it here. It's not what I'm looking for.
What year?
Finally getting to the point I can actually get something out of books like this.
Yeah.
What year is this?
The year too?
It was printed in Yerushalayim. Let's see.
Must be from the early 1900s because there's a smoke in this book.
Wow. What's the inscription say? My dear friend.
You put a date here.
Professor Isaac Frank with best wishes. Albert something or other.
Wow.
Isaac Frank. Rockville, Maryland. The Isaac Frank Jewish Library.
Wow.
Here.
So they end up closing the whole library, I guess. Huh?
In the back, it's black. There's a pen. It's black. In the front, it's purple. Close enough. Forgive me.
Two-tone books.
Cyrus.
That's a good explanation.
Has anyone else heard of this?
Avraham Benatar. Wow.
Not to eat bread The end piece of the bread.
The heel?
What's the heels? The end piece?
So when you have, let's say you have a round loaf, the first slice you make will have the crust on one side and the softer part, and every other piece will have it soft on either side, right? But the end piece has the crust on it.
Right.
And
You're not supposed to eat
when I
it,
used to
you-
go to any, like, I guess in the Torski community, no man would eat the,
The heel.
yeah, because it was considered to be, you lose your learning eating. And I heard it other places as well. But it must be a very unusual minhag from somewhere.
And
But
women
it'd be
eat it?
better never not explain.
Women
Women
eat
are
it?
allowed to eat it, yeah, because they're not chacham.
That's like my wife's favorite part. Maybe she got that from a grandma or something.
Rabbi Machluf was an alchemist.
Yeah.
You know, there's pictures of a still cooking things in vessels.
It says that he was this rabbi, it says he was proficient in practical Kabbalah, but when he came to Israel, he promised he wouldn't use it.
Might influence the elections.
I don't think anybody has hope to do that.
No, that alchemist vessel, it could also be like an arak still.
When is the election?
The old secret.
Very soon, I think.
I don't even see it in this book.
You talking about the Eruv? That it says? Or you about the Eruv?
So we're
happening in
here.
March?
No, elections in Israel.
Oh, the Irish election.
I don't know what's happening.
This book is a book of all kinds of Jewish superstitions, if they're real or not.
Oh,
But
Wow,
I don't even see it in that. This rabbi researched every single thing he could find, sources, Gemaot, Rishonim, Achronim, or where it comes from in idolatry,
wow.
and proved that it's an idolatrous custom.
Oh.
Sorry, is the onion thing over there?
Oh, like not putting it.
No, that we said is from Kabbalah, that onion thing.
Not leave it cleared.
Not leave it cut open. Not a cut open onion in the.
Okay, let's go to 91 again. To Rabbi David Israel.
Put it in a vessel. Put it in like a plastic bag or something.
So it says Shaar dvarim hatzrichim netilat yadayim. You see in the middle of the page, in bold. The other things, the rest of the things that need netilat yadayim in the morning. Milvad netilat yadayim b'shachrit, aside from netilat yadayim. What's your M? 91 in the middle of the page. Aside from washing your hands in the morning, k'shakam emitato, when he wakes up in the morning, Yishnam od dvarim, there are more things hatzrichim netilat yadayim. There are more things which require washing of the hands. B'mayim, with water, lacharehem, after you do them. Kamforat and halan, as I'm going to explain from here on in. 1. Hayotze mi bet hakiseh, one who goes out of the bathroom, achar she'asat tzarchav, after he uses it.
If he doesn't use it,
And if he does use it.
but if he doesn't,
Right now we're talking about if he does. Tzarich litol yadav, he has to wash his hands with varech berkat asher yatzar, and make an asher yatzar, v'yivuaru pratei dinim bazeh b'siyat d'shmayad. With God willing, we'll explain the rest of these halachot. Lehalan later on b'siman vav, u'b'siman zayin. So we're going to get there to the details here. Now here's Zeb's question. Vim nichnas lebet hakiseh, and if a person enters the bathroom, shelo al manat la'asot tzarchav, not in order to use the bathroom. כגון שנכנס כדי לקחת משם איזה חפץ. He comes in to take something out of there, a tissue box or something. ראוי להחמיר, it's proper to be strict. ליטול ידיו בלא ברכה, to wash his hands without a ברכה. מפני שרוח רעה שבתוך בית הכיסא שורה על ידיו. Because the ruach ra'ah from inside of the bathroom rests on his hands. ואף בבתי כיסא שבזמננו ראוי להחמיר בזה. And even in our bathrooms, one should be strict about it.
it's talking about modern.
Yeah,
As
modern
opposed to an
bathrooms.
outhouse, as opposed to an outhouse or something.
right. Now, l'chatchila, and ideally, en la'akel litol yadayim, one should not be lenient to wash his hands b'cheder ambatya, in the bathroom, sheyeh sham bet kiseh, where there's actually a toilet in there. The person shouldn't do netilat yadayim in a bathroom that has a toilet in it.
Read that.
ובשעת הדחק, but in a pressing situation, כגון שאין לו מקום אחר לידיים, let's say you're in a public restroom, there's nowhere else to wash your hands. יש להקל בזה, you can be lenient about it. That's why the most religious places you go to, they have a bathroom and a sink outside of the bathroom. That way you can wash your hands outside of the bathroom. ונכנס לבית הכיסא ביום הכיפורים, somebody who enters the bathroom on יום הכיפורים, ולא עשה צרכיו, and he didn't use the bathroom, אם הוא שלא בשעת התפילה, if it's not during prayers, או סמוך לתפילה or before prayer, לא ייטול ידיו כלל, he should not wash his hands at all. ואם הוא בשעת התפילה, או סמוך לתפילה, but if it's during תפילה or before תפילה, ייטול ידיו עד סוף קשרי אצבעותיו, he should wash his hands until the knuckles. He sources here the Ben Ish Chai. Ben Ish Chai there? I can't see. Is it, no, that's almost like the Ben Ish Chai. He wrote it. Look in Kufi. It says Ben Ish Chai where? Toldot. You see that? Kufi Tet. Toldot.
Library book.
You better fill in the date.
Rockville, Maryland.
Where's your card?
It seems like the Ben Ish Chai has a little bit more lenient approach about the question here: how strictly do you interpret Maran? Maran says when you leave the bathroom, you have to do that to them. The question is, what if I didn't use the bathroom? So most want to say Maran means even when you don't use the bathroom, entering such a place of Tumah, you come out with it on your hands. It seems like the Ben Ish Chai says, I agree, so you wash your hands, but you don't have to be strict not to walk for Amot without it, and all kinds of things like that. And so therefore it seems Rabbi David Yosef is saying on Yom Kippur, when washing your hands could be a violation of a biblical prohibition, it could be that we're not so stringent in Kabbalistic ideas because we have to be more strict about halachic ideas, right? And that's why in Yom Kippur he seems to be lenient. That's what it seems from this story.
Yom Kippur, just to go there, not wash it.
If you go in and out without actually going to the bathroom. Vayotze mibet hakiseh, and someone who leaves the bathroom without using it, mutar lo lalechet 4 amot kodem sheitol yadav. He's allowed to walk 4 amot without washing his hands. Ve'afilu lechatchila, and even ideally, ve'afilu asa tzarchav, and even if he actually went to the bathroom. I mean, the ruach ra of the bathroom seems not to be as stringent as the ruach ra of sleep, of waking up in the morning, where the Mekubalim are of the opinion that you can't walk 4 amot without it, right? Good memory.
Good number.
ומכל מקום, טוב להקדים ככל האפשר ליטול ידיו, but it's still better to wash your hands as soon as possible, כדי להסיר הרוח רעה השורה עליהן, in order to get rid of the ruach ra, which is on a person's hands. ויוצא מבית הכיסא, and somebody who leaves the bathroom, אין צריך ליטול ידיו מתוך כלי דווקא. Listen very carefully. He says you don't have to use a cup when you wash your hands.
In which case?
when a person
You
comes
don't
out of
have
the
to.
bathroom.
You don't
Without
have
using
to.
Without using.
It's
Well,
not,
that's good to know. Sometimes you can't find
it's
a
not
cup.
prohibiting from using the cup.
Well, you can if you want.
Yeah.
We know how machmir you are. No, it's like, let's say you're in like an airport and you just go in to get some tissues or something. And there's no kli, there's no vessel.
He's talking specifically when you actually use the bathroom.
Oh, really?
Yeah. ומכל מקום, but in any case, המחמיר ליטול ידיו מתוך כלי בצאתו מבית הכיסא, someone who's strict to wash his hands with the cup after he leaves the bathroom, אחר שהצלחת, after he uses it, תבוא עליו ברכה, he should get a blessing. אבל כשיוצא מבית הכיסא, כשלא עשה צלחת, when he leaves the bathroom, when he didn't use it, אין צריך להחמיר כלל ליטול ידיו מתוך כלי, you don't have to be strict at all to wash with a cup, rather just wash your hands like a normal person washes
If
his
he
hands.
didn't.
If he didn't
Alternating?
use it. And if, no, just wash your hands.
Oh, okay.
And if he did use it, so,
What about wiping your hands with the towel? Other than
what if?
wash your hands, and the towel is hanging there, you wipe your hands.
Yeah, that's good. So how many times do you wash? Let's see the next paragraph. ונכון להחמיר, one should be strict, כשיוצא מבית הכיסא, אחר שעשה צרכיו, when he leaves the bathroom after he uses it, ליטול ידיו 3 פעמים לסירוגין, to wash your hands 3 times alternatingly, ומתוך רביעית מים, with a רביעית of water in your hands. אבל כשלא עשה צרכיו, but if a person didn't use the bathroom, די בנטילה פעם אחת, it's enough to wash your hands once. ומכל מקום, but in any case, ראוי שייטול מתוך רביעית המים, it's still good that he should use a רביעית of water when he washes that once.
I think we talked once and you said that it's enough after bathroom just one and one.
That's what I was following.
So, this halakha is based on Rabbi Mashash and Rabbi Mazuz, both who were big mekubalim, and never ever washed more than once after using the bathroom. If I'm not mistaken, Harav Peretz also washes only once after using the bathroom, and therefore we also wash only once using the bathroom. But it seems like the other mekubalim are of the opinion that you should wash 3 times. And that seems to be the prevalent custom on the street. But these mekubalim, they were big mekubalim, they said they only washed once. So the question is, how are you stricter than some of world-class mekubalim? Okay, Rabbi David Yosef clearly is choosing not to follow the psak halakha of those 2 rabbis, and to follow like the other ones who hold you 3 times.
And Maran doesn't specify
No,
how you wash.
no. It's a good point. Maran here is very vague, which is why there's so much room for interpretation. If Maran was more explicit, then you wouldn't have any of these arguments. Or you would, but it would be halakha versus Kabbalah. Here it's like Kabbalah versus Kabbalah, halakha versus halakha. Here you're getting in a whole different, because Maran wasn't so clear.
Because from Maran it doesn't clear when if we have to use a cup or not.
Right.
Maybe they meant that just wash your hands.
I once quoted you from Rabbi Mashash that he felt that the sinks that we have, the faucets that we have today, count as a cup when it comes to using for washing your hands after the bathroom. But I didn't finish that whole tshuva of his. I don't know if that's what he finished Psak Halakha with. I didn't read his logic if that would apply to our faucets today, or those are just his faucets in Morocco. I don't know to tell you, but it seems to be that even there are those who are lenient. So to be strict and to do once with a cup is enough.
I think he probably meant the old things in the villages with this thing you push it and water drops because water is in the
Well?
in the clay
Oh,
and you
imagine
push
like
it.
a big urn,
Interesting.
like a Shabbat hot water thing, and you kind of, open and close it. Yeah? It's like a big container and it has a spout.
Mhm.
That's what you're saying?
No, I'm saying
It's a big difference.
I don't know if you saw it. I saw it in the old villages. It's like this big, maybe a little bit bigger thing, metal thing, and it has a stick here. The stick closes from the top. If you push it, water opens and drops on your hands.
Interesting.
If you leave it, it
The pressure closes it.
Yeah.
I've seen something like that.
It's like a kli, you know. It's
interesting.
you
That's why I said I'm not sure what he was referring to, and therefore I'm not applying his halakha to today.
It's really old-fashioned thing. Yeah. Probably.
That was for him considered technological.
Yeah, it's like a kli. You know, it's like a cup.
It could be. It could be. I'd have to look at this tshuva from Rabbi Mashash again. Now here's the big question. The question is, what if I don't actually go into the bathroom, but I just stick my hand inside to get something? Unless you have a huge bathroom, then probably what you need, you can reach in and take something out. Imagine you want to reach for your toothbrush or whatever it is that a person would have in there. What happens then? Does one hand need netilah? Does your whole hand netilah? Do you need to go to the mikveh? I don't know. What does they have to do?
Say 3 Hail Marys.
There you go. That sounds like our religion. Vim Hoshit Yadav 93. Vim Hoshit Yadav. Vim Hoshit Yadav Bilvad. What's going to happen? Someone's going to hear this class and say, oh, they did 3 Hail Marys. That's what Rabbi Yoni said in the class.
Oh my God.
Vim Hoshit Yadav Bilvad L'toch Bet HaKiseh. And if you only stick your hand inside of the bathroom, Lo hichnis kol gufo, and he didn't enter his whole body in there. Nachon lachmir should be strict. Sheitol yadav pam achat. That a person should wash their hands once.
It's pretty good. 91.
3.
This is a 3-way machloket, by the way. The 3-way machloket is as follows. The Ben Ish Chai holds you only have to wash your hands once in such a situation. The Kaf HaChaim, Rabbi Chaim Palaji, holds you would have to wash your hands 3 times in such a situation. And the Ben Ish Chai says that someone who wants to be strict to wash 3 is also a good person. And the Tzitz Eliezer, Rabbi Eliezer Waldenberg of the Shaar Tzedek Hospital in Yerushalayim, he proves that you don't have to wash your hands at all. And so Rabbi David Yosef here is siding with the middle opinion, which is the Ben Ish Chai, to wash your hands once. Even though the Tzitz Eliezer says not at all, and Rabbi Chaim Palaji says 3 times.
If you didn't use.
Just stuck his hand in to get something. Vim hoshit rak yado echad bilvad ador bet hakiseh. And if he sticks only one hand in, not even 2 hands, one hand in, nachon lachmir sheitol ota yad pam achat. It's proper that you should, that one hand that you stuck in, you wash also only once. Just one hand.
Well, it was one hand.
Yeah, because the other hand didn't go to the bathroom.
So you can mix minhagim, like this, because one of the rabbis you just mentioned is Ashkenaz. So across the board on the halacha, you can be consistent whether it's an Ashkenaz or Sephardic rabbi, because the beginning place is different.
Zev doesn't even know what kind of question he just asked.
Yes, I do. Maybe I don't.
Maybe he does.
Is it?
What's the question? Someone tell me the question.
If you put hand once, one hand inside, you're washed.
Well, that's the question we're dealing with here.
No,
What
specific.
Zev's question is, how are we taking 3 opinions from 3 different places, from 3 different countries, from 3 different minhagim, and mushing them together, coming out with the middle opinion? Hey, maybe the Ashkenazim should do like the Tzitz Eliezer, and the Sephardim should do like the Ben Ish Chai, and those who are from the Kaf HaChaim's camp, the Kaf HaChaim.
Wallenberg.
It's wrong, all the accounts.
I have a whole set of the Tzitz Eliezer. If you look straight ahead over here, there's those blue books with light baby blue writing. That's from Moshe Feinstein. To the right of him, there's a whole set of brown books. That's the Tzitz Eliezer, Eliezer Waldenberg. And his books are very special because, unlike many other rabbis, he was very proficient, not just in the writings of Ashkenazi rabbis, but also in the writings of the Sephardic rabbis, the Ben Ish Chai, the Kaf HaChaim, the Chidah, even Rabbi Vadia Yosef's writings. And so when he dealt with the halachic issue, he was one of the few Ashkenazi rabbis, especially in his generation, who was proficient in all the rabbis' writings, even though he technically didn't have to. He was Ashkenazi. What did he have to get involved? So there is, number one, like a certain affection that we have to him in the Sephardic community over other rabbis. But aside from that, it's not so clear cut that Sephardim follow Sephardic rabbis, Ashkenazim follow Ashkenazi rabbis. Very often those worlds cross, and we treat them all as halachic opinions. And if they're valid, and they listen, if you tell me this halachic opinion from Ashkenaz, it only fits in with the writing of the Ramah, meaning it's in direct contradiction of Shulchan Aruch. So obviously we wouldn't follow such a thing. That would go against our minhag. But here, Maran is being very vague, and so anyone who's coming to interpret Maran is fair game. It doesn't make a difference where he's from, and you'd be surprised to see how many times we Sephardim will use Ashkenazi sources to come up with our halachot, or the other way around. Ashkenazim using Sephardic sources to come up with their halachot, because most of the time we're not arguing, we're dealing with the same issue, and a posek is a posek. You're not picking and choosing, you're just following different lines of logic. So long as you could tell me that this posek is trying to interpret the same thing we're trying to interpret. For example, I like the Mishnah Berurah. We learn Mishnah Berurah a lot in Yeshiva, but the Mishnah Berurah not always is in Maran. Sometimes he's in the Ramah or in somewhere else. So that Mishnah Berurah is just irrelevant to me. But the rest of what he wrote, just because he's Ashkenazi, doesn't mean I can't pass him like it. It's a good question.
So, for example, I cannot just pick whatever I like, which is, for example, more lenient from Ashkenazi and Sephardi, and create my own halacha. But if I understand the logic of a posek, I can pick.
Right, because you're not just choosing a leniency,
Yeah,
you're following a logic from the beginning till the end. Yeah, we do this all the time. Poskim do this all the time.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we're not bound to countries. It's a new thing that I'm from this group and I have to follow this. It's not accurate. It's a new Jewish idea, not an old one. You have to have one rabbi, one line of thinking, one approach to halakha, but it doesn't mean you can't choose from the different areas of halachot things that you completely understand and fit into where it is that you're trying to take the halachot. So a person sticks one hand in, he just has to wash one hand. He sticks in two hands, or Rabbi David Yosef is saying, he just has to wash both hands once.
Then there was hands coming out of the bathroom, going into the bathroom.
When what?
There was hands going into the bathroom, coming out of the bathroom.
No, when you come out of the bathroom, never when you go in. Now, v'im hu be'emtza suda. What if you're in the middle of having a meal and you stuck one hand in the bathroom? Nachon lachmir shitol shtei yadav. It's proper to be strict that you should wash both your hands. V'amachmir litol shtei yadav. Tamid shtei yadav. One who always washes both his hands. Tava alav bracha. He should receive a blessing. Meaning the best thing to do would be to wash both your hands always and not start to wash once and another time. This is the opinion of Rabbi Chaim Palaji and the Shlach Kadosh, Rabbi Yishai Levi Horowitz, as well as the first Lubavitcher Rebbe in his Sidur.
So it looks like it doesn't make sense to put it in Nitilat Yadayim cup
In the bed.
in the bathroom. But everybody does.
Seems like most of the world is not careful to wash their hands out of the bathroom, and that seems to be okay, halachically.
So he's
Well, there's also
He's
different-
being strict.
You know,
There's also different kinds of bathrooms where the toilet is off behind another. It's cordoned off or has a door. Or
I
something.
mean, not all would agree that our bathrooms today are the same bathrooms these are referring to. That's where the point of argument is going to be. And so it could be that we're relying on those people who say that today's bathrooms, you can wash your hands in them. Even though he says ideally you shouldn't rely on such an opinion, it could be that that's what it is that people do.
What about outhouses?
That would be a big problem. That's a real bathroom, like a porta potty you go to in an event or at the beach or something like that. Those are real bathrooms, dirty.
And you don't wash your hands in those. There's no place for it anyway.
Right. But that could be the kind of thing that if you walk in and out of, everybody would agree that you'd have to wash your hands.
Right.
And probably you should agree to wash your hands too.
And not with their sketchy recycled water that they have in those little
They had a situation in We went up to a museum at Hearst Castle. I had to go because everybody else wanted to go, but because of the drought, they closed all the bathrooms in the museum. They had porta potties outside, but nowhere to wash your hands afterwards. Very interesting.
What do people do?
They do. I don't know what they did.
Spread disease.
When was that? Which year?
The summer. This last summer.
So what about recycled water? It's clean, but it's kind of.
I don't know about. I don't know what recycled water
It's
is.
It
not
means it
for
was-
drinking and washing hands, okay.
It came from the sewage system, and then they run it through a purification plant, and then they reuse it again.
There's filtered water, and then there's also like in those porta potties. There's also like tanks of water. So the same porta potty, the same guys that bring your porta potty, that empty it, that clean it out, and then drop one off at your construction yard for you to use. Those guys behind it, sometimes they have like a little tank built in there, like a water tank with a little sink, and you kind of pump it, and then you can wash your hands in that, the water that comes out of that. So
I've seen that.
yeah, not your favorite kind of sink.
Technically, all water is recycled. The question is, how long has it been since it was last used, right?
Yeah, we want more than Ben Yomo. We want like Ben Shana for our water.
Okay, ocean water. Can you do any slightly there?
Yes.
Oh,
It's a good question, actually.
How
By
many
bread.
people go to ocean?
By bread, you might get yourself into complicated stories. It's not
For example,
drinkable.
you're on the beach and you use the restroom over there. You
Oh, to
can,
wash your hands after a bath.
Can you
It's
do
the only
it
time
like
for
that
bread.
from the
I don't-
For washing your hands in the bathroom, yes.
to eat.
So we're gonna see those halachot when we get them. You know how many more books we have to go through till we get them?
You can do a mikvah in the ocean, so that'd be an interesting argument towards the hands.
Yeah, actually, hey, you can do a mikveh in the ocean. Why
But
can't you
is
do
okay,
it
not
like
for
that?
ladies.
Not all things are comparable. We have Hello, can you go to that bookcase? The other one on the left? Yeah, all the way on the left, the top bookshelf, the first book to the right. The first one, yeah.
So complicated, washing hands.
So complicated? Yeah, it seems to be a lot to know here. I just want to So we wanted to see what kind of water we're able to use. Can use an aquarium to wash your hands
With fish in it.
with fish in it.
To put your hands in or just to take a water?
Take out water.
They won't allow these things in the country. If everybody does it, that would be incredible.
Oh. So, you don't wash your hands for bread with water from the ocean because a dog couldn't drink this water.
Because what?
A dog couldn't drink it.
Oh.
Wouldn't drink it.
But you can dip your hands in the water like a mikveh and say Anta Tadayim, but not take the water out and use it as a cup. There you're ready to get into the halachot, but it has to be at least edible for a dog. By dipping into liquids, it's a different halacha.
That's
I remember this.
We studied that.
That's why.
a month ago.
There is a logic behind
Dip
it.
versus
That's the key. But can you be Yotze Natilia time for bread by dipping your hands in water? Again, I think we learned that, didn't we? Maybe it wasn't here. Do you have to use a kli to wash for bread?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't. You can stick your hands in the water, but that wouldn't make you Yotze for the washing before Motzi.
See,
With what? With that?
No, if you were going to wash for bread, even though you can stick your hands in an ocean,
Ocean.
you couldn't use that to be Yotze the bracha before eating bread.
What do you mean?
In other words, if you can't take the water out of the ocean and wash in a kli
You're still allowed to use that water to dip your hands in for bread.
before eating bread, you
Yeah.
could say
But
Natilat
yeah,
Yadayim and
because
then
the
Motzi.
dipping is different than the taking out of the water. It seems that when you take out the water, the halachot have to apply, such as being drinkable, being clean, not being used for other things. Whereas dipping your hands in is a different halachah.
So that means you can wash for bread without using a kli then, normally.
Technically, if you don't have a kli, we said you could dip your hands inside of something.
so you can't use a cup to wash your hands for bread. If you're in the ocean, but you can stick your hands in the water to wash your
Right.
bread.
Yeah. What about seltzer? He asked over here.
Seltzer.
What about
Apple juice.
V8.
Do you want to know about the aquarium?
Yeah.
If you put fish into an aquarium, you can't use this water for your washing your hands, especially that it has dirt or like food flakes
Waste.
or things in there.
Waste from the fish.
But because you consider them to be dirty water, you wouldn't drink that water. But if you put a fish inside of water for a few minutes and then you take them out, don't ask me why. Then it could be okay to wash your hands with it.
For
The
fish
fish
bread.
back?
Oh, I don't know if he's putting the fish back. Let's say you have, I guess in the olden days, people actually bought fish Erev Shabbat. They put them in the water,
Right, you keep it in the
and they took the water out, and they showered in that water. It could be that was like a normal thing to do. I don't know. It would still be gross for me if fish was in there one.
Yeah, they do
So
have showers.
You can still do that if you take the fish out, you can wash for bread using the water for the
It has to be clean.
Well, people used to buy carp and things and keep them in like little tubs and then.
You
I
have to say,
remember those days.
you have to say, Baruch Hashem, that we don't have such things.
In the bathtub.
Right, right.
You got your answer about the ocean?
Yeah.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. But I don't know where my watch is. I don't want to lose track of. Okay. Let's keep going. It's interesting halachot. See, you have to find what I'm not liking with the way this is working right now. It's not giving us the principle, the
Right.
bottom line of what makes you have to wash your hands once, what makes you have to wash your hands 3 times, what makes you have to wash your hands never. He's just telling you the detail.
Right.
This is kind of because he's finishing up the last few pages of this chapter and he wants to move on to somewhere else. But you notice that this is not as exciting as going through all the sources and figuring out the equations and then plugging things into ourselves. Unfortunately, this is the way most people learn halakha. Yes, this, no that. No this, yes that. Why? It doesn't make a difference why. Just keep reading, memorizing, keep going. This is what burns people off from learning halakha, because halakha it's like a to-do list. And you can't remember all this stuff. It doesn't really sit with you well. There are things that are much more exciting. I don't know, hearing stories about a rabbi, much more exciting than learning. So because we're learning the halachot wrong. So here, I'm going with the flow. But I would love to, if Hashem gives me some time, my wife's family is here visiting. So if I have some time on my own, free time before the Kollel next time, so I'll try to find for you. Maybe I can find it. What is the equation that you can plug in things to and figure out when you wash once, when you wash 3 times. For right now, we're going to go through the halachot. I just met a friend of mine. He's a rabbi. And I gave him a book that I wrote, and he said, "You, Yoni, you always liked halacha." I said, "Yeah." He said, "I hate halacha."
A rabbi?
A rabbi. I said, "Yeah, I learn it because I have to, but I hate it." I said, "It's because you never ever learn halakha right. You're probably always learning things like this. I would hate it also if I learned like this, but that's what it is. That's how most people learn."
It's technical. It's the end result, but not the principle behind the thing, the why.
Right. And then the problem is that two things happen. This is a hard way to learn when you learn the way we learn, because you don't cover enough ground. When you're trying to figure things out, so you move slowly. But that's the whole point in Judaism, of it's better less with kavanah than a lot without kavanah. It's better to know less and be with it and understand it than to memorize all kinds of things like a parrot and never really understand our Judaism. And also, so we have to make more time. We have to learn more. That's all. You have to have time to learn things like this. And also on the side, a person should always have a kitzur book that they go through, that they learn halachot and look up halachot. That's for just to know how to get by. But the hope is that later on in life, we'll make time to get to that point where we're even looking up those halachot on a deeper level. I recommend, there's a set that I have there, a white book, cream colored books, next to the green books over there. It's called the Peninei Halacha, the Pearls of Halacha. Essentially what he does is he takes almost every halachic topic, and from the beginning till the end. From the Gemara, from the Torah, from wherever it starts, all the way till Shulchan Aruch, till today, till Rabbi himself, till Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, and he, in very simple Hebrew, they've just started translating these books into English. They have one out on the laws of Tefillah, and one out on the laws of Pesach. I think Koren is the publisher that sells those. I recommend it. Try to buy one. Look at it. I mean, I didn't learn the English ones, but people have told me they did a very good job translating it. That's the way to learn halakha. So it takes a little bit longer, but it's good. It's good for you. It's good for your neshama. It's good for all kinds of things. So let's see what he says here on 93. And ideally, a person shouldn't bring into dvar ma'achal mashkeh, food or drink, lebet hakiseh, into the bathroom. I was once at somebody's house. I went to their bathroom. They would use it before me, and they were still there, half a cup of coffee over there. Who drinks a cup of coffee sitting in the bathroom? But I guess there are people who do such things.
Oh yeah.
I was just in a religious house.
The bowl that minute was over there.
You say this today?
And the nuts.
I was just in someone's house, a religious person's house, and they had a phone by the toilet. That's a basic halakha that you can't talk in the bathroom. So I don't know where it is
That used to be a very popular high-end idea. Like if you were, like back in the day, if you went to like a La Jolla house or Rancho Santa Fe house, they'd have a phone in the bathroom.
Yeah,
Really?
hotels.
I remember it as hotels when I was a kid.
hotels, yeah.
I guess, you know, like that guy is in the bath making his business phone calls because I couldn't wait till he gets out 3 minutes later, right? But these things are they're not the way that we do things in the adult. Eating and drinking, it's a crazy thing.
But if you had a closed vessel that was unopened with food in it,
so that goes back. We learned these halachot.
yeah, I wasn't here.
Do you remember the exact details here?
Eating in the bathroom.
Yeah, of course. But
Close and close.
if you have like a closed thing of
You
Pringles,
got to
or,
eat it. You got to eat it. You got to eat it.
yeah, you wouldn't eat it there. I mean, just the thought of it just seems like absurd.
We said that it has to be wrapped up in something or covered in something. Seemingly aside from just the bottle that it's in or the bag that it's in.
Because, like, for example,
Like if you
let's
put
say
it in
you're
your
traveling,
pocket.
you're traveling, you have a case, you bought some food items, and you go into the public bathroom when you get off the plane or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say at the airport, but you go get like this giant hoagie, and then you're like, "Oh, gotta go," and then like, you go to somebody outside bathroom. You mind holding my sandwich when I go inside? Yeah,
You might have to.
You might have to. Yeah, now that we know, you might.
I've never been in an airport where I can order a giant sandwich and it's kosher. But this is a great point. We're going to see this halakha inside, if I'm not mistaken.
Yaakov Yosef says that you can go through, if you have go through bathroom in your house, you can transfer food through. So it isn't same thing with a bathroom in airport. You like going through. Right?
It's not the same thing.
There's no bathroom like in the airport. Go to the other place.
No, he's not. I think you're talking about like there's a passageway. Like
If it's
Secret
covered,
passageway
Let's see what it says here.
And I'm saying about
takes you right to
וכן
the
יש להחמיר מה בזה לכתחילה יהיה על בית המרחץ או מקווה טהרה. It's also good to be strict about this regarding a shower room, like after it's in a swimming pool, or not the swimming pool, the shower room that's there, or mikveh tahara, or even by the mikveh, שמתרחצים שם רבים, that many people go and wash themselves there. ומי שיש לו דבר מאכל, somebody who has food, וצריך להיכנס לבית הכיסא, but he has to go to the bathroom. Let's say you're at the airport and you're the only one who's holding your bag, so what do? אם יכול להשאיר את דבר המאכל בחוץ, if you can leave the food outside, ישאירנו בחוץ, you should leave it outside.
Here we go.
Outside.
ואם אין לו מקום להניח את אותו דבר מאכל, if he doesn't have where to leave this food outside, יכסה אותו בבגדו, he should cover it with his clothing. או יניחנו בשקית ניילון, that's an ancient Hebrew word. Or you should put it in a nylon bag, a plastic bag.
Put it in a bag.
או בשקית נייר, or in a paper bag. או יניחנו בכיסו, or you should put it in your pocket. Your suitcase also could work for this. ולאחר מכן רשאי להיכנס עמו לבית הכיסא, אפילו לכתחילה, then you're ideally allowed to take your food into the bathroom.
In a suitcase.
So you can't come in with your food
Open
in your hand,
sandwich.
but wrap it up in something and then take it in לכתחילה if you don't have a choice. ובדיעבד, what happens if after the fact, אם הכניס דבר מאכל לבית הכיסא? You go to the bathroom with food that's uncovered. בלא כיסוי כלל, and it was completely uncovered. אם אפשר לרחוץ ולשטוף את אותו דבר מאכל, if you're able to wash that food, כגון, remember we said this? By touching the food and your hands were tameh. Remember we spoke about this? כגון פירות וכיוצא בזה, let's say like an apple, fruit. That you're able to wash them off.
Right.
Right? ישטפם במים 3 פעמים, you should wash them in water 3 times.
Not hamburger.
Oh.
Wash your hamburger.
ואם אי אפשר לרחוץ ולשטוף את אותו דבר מאכל, let's say it's the kind of food that you can't wash, כגון לחם, like bread, ועוגות, or cakes, וכיוצא בזה, things like that, that when washing them it ruins the food. מותרים בדיעבד. You're allowed to eat them בדיעבד. והמחמיר בזה תבוא עליו ברכה, and one who's strict about these things should receive a blessing.
There's
So
Rei
it's
Achra on
maybe
the
not eat.
There's Rei Achra on the food that it's cooked, right? That it's open.
But it seems that by the bathroom we're more lenient. It seems like we're even more lenient than when you touched it with the rachra in your hands. Remember that?
You can take chocolate there.
You should try not to take anything in there. But this is something that we have to try to be careful from. It's probably most prevalent in airports or things like that, hotels. Or also could be in the house. It could be that your kids are running around in and out of the bathroom with food or things like that. You should teach them to be careful with these things. I was raised, food doesn't go into the bathroom. But I tell you, I got a big shock when I saw that cup of coffee in the bathroom.
Never.
Like when I came out, the guy said, "Oh, I left my coffee inside. I went and got it." But you don't know what I did in there. I mean, you know, it's Hashem should help us. But you see from this whole story that at the end of the day, push comes to shove, it's okay, even if it wasn't covered, even if it was this. So you see, these halachot are not as strict as you think they are. You should be careful about them, but it's not the kind of thing that, oh, in the bathroom, okay, kids, empty out your backpacks into the garbage can. Like it's not the way we're gonna follow these halachot. There are such people. Where was I now? I was the friend. Oh, I'll tell you a story. Want to hear a story? Terrible story.
So,
I was out with a friend of mine. We went for lunch. I ended up paying because the whole time for lunch he was complaining how poor he is, how poor he is. I'm going to pay for him. And at the end I said, how much money do you make? I was out of curiosity. I'm not embarrassed if he's complaining. So he's one guy with one kid. And he makes $150,000 a year. He's poor. I said, you don't want to know how much money I make a year, and then we'll talk about who should have paid for lunch, right? You should have paid for dinner too. But it was an interesting conversation that we had, and in this conversation we're talking about how important it is to have a rabbi. It was an interesting conversation, and I said, what happens though when your rabbi tells you something that goes against everything that you believe in, your logic? Do you just say, oh, he's my rabbi, what can I do? Or do you argue with him, or do you find a different rabbi? What do you do? He said, let me tell you a story of my holy friend. That's what he tells me. He had a friend. Went to the rabbi of the shul. Everyone loves the rabbi of the shul, except for one thing: they never ask halachic questions to the rabbi of the shul.
that's probably why they love him.
Because everything they ask him, he always says no. So they don't ask. So everyone who goes to the shul, they love praying with him. They love his speeches, but they never ask him questions on halakha unless they have to. Like they can't reach another rabbi or something like that. That's really a flawed concept of a rabbi. But the guy went to the rabbi. He said, "Rabbi, I have a challah board." You know what a challah board is? It's a wood with glass, and inside there's silver. And there are crumbs that got inside of chametz, and I can't unscrew those things. They were kind of you couldn't unscrew, so I can't take the glass off, so I can't get the crumbs out. What should I do? What would you say?
Soak in hot water.
Before Pesach.
Soak in the water, hot water.
But the water's not going to get to the breadcrumbs.
Put it away.
Don't
That's a
use it,
strict
use something
opinion.
else.
What did the rabbi say? You gotta throw it out.
Throw it out.
He said, but rabbi, it cost me a few $100s. It doesn't make a difference. It's real chametz, it's bread, you gotta throw it out. It's like, can I put it in the cabinet and sell it? And no, you gotta throw it out. He says, you know how holy my friend is? He threw it out. And listen, that's a horrendous story. I don't know, this is a terrible story. But you have such people. You have such people that, given the option to throw things out, they'll throw. You know how many times people call me up? Oh, Rabbi, I just had a curiosity, a question. Da, 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 da. Okay, here's my opinion. Oh, I wish I would have called you last week. Why? Last week I called the rabbi and he told me I have to throw the pot in the garbage. Which rabbi would tell you to throw a pot in the garbage? Only someone who doesn't know halachot. So here, like, you know, the person calls you, oh, you know, I was in the airport and my kid took the food, a backpack, the backpack with food inside, he took it to the bathroom. So now, they call the rabbi says you have to throw everything in the garbage. Why do you have to throw everything in the garbage? You're not afraid of making Jews lose money? Hashem is worried about making the Jews lose money. You're not afraid of making the Jews lose money. Be able to think of these halachot. So here's a classic case where, sure, we're strict, but we try to be careful about this, not to bring it. And if you bring it, to be covered. And if it's covered, it's at least in your pocket. But push comes to shove and it happened, we don't throw it all in the garbage.
Wow.
The rabbi says for everything, he doesn't know all the detail. It's hard to say. Good rabbi will say, possible to have it.
But the other rabbi doesn't know a lot of things, more than just the details.
Doesn't know much. Throw it out. It doesn't make a difference. He doesn't know which one allowed, which one not.
But it's a problem. It's a real problem that it's such, and it's considered a valid opinion. I was very moved by that story. Not in a good way. Let's see just the last halakha on the top of 94. Umutar, and it's permitted afilu lechatchila, even ideally, lachnis devar ma'achal lecheder ambatya, to bring food into the bathroom. Bathroom meaning not the bathroom, but the bathroom, the room that you take baths inside of. She'en sham bet hakiseh, which doesn't have a toilet inside of it. V'afilu b'lo kisui klal, and even without being covered at all. Umutar af la'ashiro sham l'mishmer d'zman rav. You can even keep this food storage in the shower room for a long time. Let's say you only have one extra cabinet that's in the room where the shower is, but there's no toilet in there. You can store food in that room.
Moldy fast, but
in Manhattan, then it
the
makes
humidity is not a good idea.
There are a lot of weird showers in Israel too. Like we have a little room and they're kind of got a storage shower.
Is
not too long.
is Amavatia a bath house or is it just
Ambatya is actually a bath, the actual bath. But cheder ambatya means the room of the bath. It would be today the equivalent of like a, or you have your, if you have like an indoor swimming pool or
jacuzzi?
There are some houses that have like a jacuzzi inside or in a master bedroom. It's not the bathroom; it's like a master bedroom where there's a bath. The bathroom has a separate door. So that bathroom obviously you can't take food into, but this room with the ambatya you can have food in there. But one who's strict about this will have an extra blessing. What that always means is there was one rabbi there who said you should be strict. It's good to be careful about his opinion. Tomorrow, well, we're going to talk. Actually, there's one till we get to Nun Aleph. Hang on with me. The halachot of somebody who touches food or drink after he leaves the bathroom, before he washes his hands. We already spoke about it in chapter 29. And if he touches the water with his hands, before he washed his hands after the bathroom, we already mentioned those above by Ted Zayin, but we spoke about this halachot already. But we find there are two different statuses. There's bathrooms and there's shower rooms. Now it could be that in many houses you don't have a differentiation between those. But there are places where you do have such a differentiation, and you have to know there are different halachot about them. Also, we have here two different levels always, the chetchila and b'diavad. The chetchila, there are certain things we don't do. We want the food to be covered, we want it to be wrapped, we want it to be... But if it didn't happen, so b'diavad, it would be okay. If you can wash it off, it's a good thing to wash it off. But if you can't, so you can't, and you just keep going. These halachot are not set in stone, probably because they're left to interpretation of what Maran actually meant in Shulchan Aruch. We have the Mekubalim. The Mekubalim, we should know here, are strict beyond belief. The Mekubalim in general, areas of Kabbalah, Rachra, Tumah, these are things that they're careful about. But for your average person like us who keeps halacha, we take the mekubalim into consideration, but to a limited extent, because Maran didn't set certain rules in stone. The things he did set in stone, so we're much more careful about them. Bezrat Hashem, we'll continue this tomorrow evening. We're not having Kollel traditionally. We'll be having the Tu B'Shvat Seder here at our house. Everyone's invited. If you could just please go onto the website and RSVP how many people are coming so we know how many people to get food for. Tomorrow from 7 till about 9. It's going to be a Seder, like a Seder, but for Tu B'Shvat. It's going to be a Pia Kabbalah. We're following the traditions this year of Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu.
7 to 9.
7 to 9, about that time.
So we're coming with wives?
Wives, children, please bring them. It's not a men's only event.
One question I
Yes.
have on this.
Let's maybe just
If the
you
Beit
turn off the camera.
if the Beit HaMikdash was still standing, would a more strict view be held